Good morning, Hop Nation. This is your commissioner coming at you, and Back in the Box Productions brings to you the Week 6 Hop Fantasy Football Wrap-Up Show, where I will cover the outcomes of all of our games. We had some really interesting matchups, and trying to stay consistent, keep you up to date with what's going on. So let's go dive right into Week 6, and as always, I will start with my own matchup. This one put a smile on my face because I was taking on the champ, looking to repeat after last year's success. And last year, he had a lot of success against me as he swept our season series. So this was an opportunity for me to get back, and get back I did. The Goodfellas takes down the champ, formerly the Chosen Ones, 150 to 130. And obviously, we have some decimal points and stuff. So let's take a look at what happened. So I'll start on Chris's side. So right off the bat, I can tell you when I was looking at the lineup, I was pleasantly surprised that he was leaving Matthew Stafford in there, and as opposed to Josh Allen. Now, one thing I want to give credit where credit's due. Chris has his conviction, and if he makes a decision on a player, even if it's one that 90% other people wouldn't make, he sticks to it. So, and honestly, I give him credit for that, because Josh Allen versus Atlanta on a primetime game, you would think would have a big game, as opposed to Stafford, who's had an unbelievable season, taking on a Baltimore team that, yes, has been defensively, has had issues, but also had players coming back. Now, as it turns out, Allen did outscore Stafford, but only by a handful of points, and it would not have made a difference. So Matthew Stafford came in at under 10 points on the game. His running backs, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, both of them came in under 10 points. Javonte Williams versus a Carolina team is a disappointment. Definitely should have expected more points from him. And Etienne versus a tough Seattle defense. So, you get what you get. Little bit of unfortunate or bad luck for Chris, as his superstar rookie receiver Emeka Egbuka got injured in game and ended up with only 4 points on the game. Has a hamstring injury like every other Tampa. I shouldn't say that, it's just Mike Evans, but every Tampa receiver is hurt. Egbuka is the latest one. No timetable yet on his return, but only 4 points on the day. DK Metcalf had a nice throwback game with 19 points. On his tight end, Tyler Warren, 18 points. So I was watching Red Zone and the Indy-Arizona game when it kicked off. Tyler Warren caught like 3 balls on the first drive and a touchdown. And I was like, here we go. I'm in for it. But 18 points kind of kept the damage to a minimum. On the flex side, Chris tried to neutralize a little bit and go with Luke McCaffrey, Washington, thinking I was going to go Jaden Daniels at quarterback. And he got him 15 points, but I think it was on like 1 catch. But, he did what he did. So 15 points, not bad. Kendrick Bourne, 24 points, as he continues to have that throwback rapport with Mac Jones in San Francisco. And even though the Niners lost, as a Niners fan, it's nice to see that we have still some offensive talent while we wait for the cavalry to arrive from the injury report. Nothing really of note. Kicker, defense, head coach. Added all up, 130 points. Wasn't quite enough. Not a terrible week, but wasn't quite enough. Now, on my side, I did go Jaden Daniels quarterback, although I was fully prepared to go Caleb Williams, who was in my starting lineup for a long time. But they ended up scoring virtually the exact same amount of points. The reason I went Jaden Daniels is because based on the score as it was and the fact that London was off to such a hot start, I decided to switch back to Daniels to sort of neutralize the Luke McCaffrey receiver thing. But again, it didn't matter. They scored the same amount of points. So Jaden Daniels versus Chicago. Running backs, Christian McCaffrey continues to just be amazing. 24 points, despite really not having that great a game, but he did get his first rushing touchdown on the game, which is great. Kenneth Walker just continues to be a disappointment, 4 points as he splits time with Charbonnet. Receivers, T-Mac, McMillan, 17.9 points. including his first touchdown. In fact, his first 2 touchdowns. Although in this game, he wasn't as highly targeted as I thought he might be. But he still got me 17.9 points on the back of a couple of touchdowns. Keenan Allen, only 6 points on the day. Travis Kelce, number 5 tight end in all of the sport right now, quietly. 13.8 points, had a real nice game versus Detroit. In the flex, I had Drake London, who exploded, 36.8 points, and it could have been more because there was a ball that he caught before halftime where he ended up running and he just missed the end zone as time expired. So 36.8 points after a phenomenal game. Dave Montgomery, only 8 points on the game versus Kansas City. Again, he's in a little bit of a platoon type of thing, so it really kind of just matters how game script goes. I usually don't touch defense and kicker, but I will say this. My defense put a 0 on the board on the Thursday night game, and then my kicker came in and rescued it with 17 points, Dicker the kicker. Add it all up, 150 points, and it equals a win for the Goodfellas, taking out the champ. Just a couple of items of note, actually not even really of note, on the bench here. As I mentioned, Chris did have Josh Allen on the bench, but he only had 15 points, so it wasn't much of a difference from Stafford. Trey Tucker with 12 points on the bench, and A.J. Barner with 10. On the Goodfellas side, I did decide to bench T. Higgins versus Green Bay, first game with Flacco. He scored 11 points, not bad for the first game, and I think the arrow's pointing up for Higgins. That's just my opinion. And then I mentioned Caleb Williams on the bench. He basically scored the same amount as Daniels. So happy to get the win. Puts me at 4-2. Puts Chris at 2-4. Still early in the season. We're not quite at the halfway point yet. Actually, we're at the halfway point right now. So still some work to be done for everybody, but a very satisfying win for the Goodfellas. So, all right, let's move on. Morrow had the high score of the week with 189 explosion versus the Southpaw. And it's always disappointing when you put up 170 points, but you're up against the high point scorer of the week. This was a shootout. Morrow gets the victory. And as I said, 189 to 170, really, really tight game. So on Morrow's side, we had Jalen Hurts at 19 points. Philly continues to be a difficult team to understand how they're working, right? They don't seem to pass particularly well. They really haven't been running that well. They have lost 2 games in a row now. They just lost badly to the Giants. So I'm not sure what to figure with Philly, but Hurts is still a top quarterback in this league. And, he just missed the 20-point mark. Bijan Robinson, 46 points versus Buffalo in that ridiculous Atlanta win over Buffalo. What a great game. Bijan played absolutely incredible. Atlanta as a team played really well. And Bijan tunes him up for 46. Later on that Monday night game, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Bill Merritt, only 5.8 points versus Chicago. Disappointing output considered Chicago is not a great defense, but the Bears played pretty well that night, and Bill really didn't. On the receiver side, a couple of names that strike a little fear when you look at them, Jamar Chase and A.J. Brown. Chase, 25 points in his first game with Flacco. Perhaps that's a sign of good things to come. And A.J. Brown, 14 points, which unfortunately in this season has come to represent his high watermark. The guy's just having a really, really down year, and I don't know what's to come. A lot of trade rumors with Brown, we'll see. Mark Andrews, the tight end, 6 points. Baltimore's just a mess right now, and not a great output there. Jalen Waddle, 15 points. And then there was George Pickens, 36 points at the flex. This guy just had a game. And listen, CeeDee Lamb's coming back, so it does remain to be seen if Pickens can remain as dominant as he was, because Lamb is the alpha over there. But Pickens has just had a really, really good run, and it's proved to be a pretty good signing for Dallas, even though they did take the loss, surprisingly, to Carolina. And when you add it all up, just under 190 points, a big week for Morrow, and a nice one at that. Looking at Craig on the Southpaw side, Baker Mayfield, 22 points. Baker's quickly becoming one of my favorite players in the game. He made some plays in this game, and again, it was against my Niners, so a little conflicted, but Baker made some plays in this game that are just pure effort and grit, and he's just such a throwback player. He's unbelievable, and scored 22 points on the day. Tony Pollard continues to underwhelm, and he's starting to lose more and more time to Tyjae Spears, who's pretty much back healthy now. So Pollard 6 points on the day versus Vegas. Rico Dowdle did it again, playing Dallas in a revenge game, and this was a true revenge game because I don't know if you guys know this, but Rico Dowdle was very, very vocal about him not being thrilled with Dallas's decision to let him go, and he came in and he did his thing 2 weeks in a row. Now I have my doubts about Dowdle. He's a 5-year player, journeyman player who's never really done much in the league. I find it hard to believe that he just woke up one day and now he's Walter Payton. But there's no doubt that he's had a really, really great two-game run, and I think he's earned at least a timeshare with Chuba Hubbard when Hubbard makes his return. Receivers, Devonta Smith and Stephon Diggs, 8 points and 5 points respectively. Very underwhelming. Stephon Diggs was getting a lot of hype, a lot of buzz that he's fully back from his injury and how good New England looks and everything. And it was just a dud versus New Orleans, which you really don't expect. So that's unfortunate. Trey McBride, for my money, probably the best tight end in football now. 21 points versus Indy in a great game. Which, by the way, Kyler Murray did not play that game. That was all Jacoby Brissett. Brian Thomas Jr. making a case to get back into everyone's good graces, puts up a 23 spot in a nice game versus Seattle. Jaylen Warren, back from injury, only 8 points. Remains to be seen how good. Now, again, they played Cleveland. We know Cleveland is a very, very good defense. So 8 points, we'll see how Jaylen does moving forward. We'll see. Don't usually talk about defense, but 19 points, not bad from the Pittsburgh defense. Add it all up, you get 170 points and really a great week, just not enough. Taking a quick look at the benches. Morrow made the decision to bench Kamara, who had 12 points on the week. Matthew Golden, 13 points. Zach Ertz, 16 points. Dallas Goedert, 31 points. These tight ends that he has, they're a little difficult to figure out who's going to be the guy, and it kind of rotates all the time. But yeah, there was some points on the bench here. And as far as Craig is concerned, nothing much to speak of. Maybe Tyler Algier putting up a 10 spot, but nothing that was going to make the difference. So anyway, when you add it up, Morrow improves to 2-4. Craig falls to 3-3. Morrow claims he's making a run and starting to get dangerous. I mean, if you base it off of his last point total, perhaps he's right. And he does have a couple of really amazing players on his team. And so we'll see what happens moving forward. Good luck to both of you gentlemen. And onward and upward from here. Moving on. Hops Chop Block, Mr. Eddie Cook, taking on the Scooters boys, Rick Erdlin. And again, Eddie did not have a bad week here. 158 points, but you're going against a team that put up a lot of points this week, and so it wasn't enough for the win. Let's start with Eddie's team. Drake May, 38 points, not bad. Good to see a guy like that really start to come into his own. And he is. He's becoming a really, really mature and good quarterback. And New England is starting to turn the corner a little bit as they recovered from the loss of Brady from a few years back. Chase Brown, I think better days for Chase Brown to come. Only 8.9 points in this game. But again, the offense as a whole with Cincinnati, I think I'm a little bit more positive than a lot of people are, or even the professionals. I think that Flacco's going to make a bigger difference there than people are giving him credit for, and that includes Chase Brown. So I think better days to come. As Flacco stretches the field a little bit more, I'm thinking Chase will get a little bit more run. Travion Henderson continues to be an enigma with New England, only 4 points on the day. They seem to just want to feed the rock to Stevenson, even though he continues to fumble it constantly. But Travion eventually maybe get his day, I don't know. Cortland Sutton, 2.7 points. Sutton is a maddening player, because he some days comes out and looks like an all-world receiver, and some days he comes out and he puts up 2 points. It's very frustrating. Anyway, against the tough Jets defense, I guess what do you expect? Xavier Worthy, 10 points. And all of a sudden, the Chiefs situation becomes interesting from a receiver standpoint because they have Worthy, they have Thornton, they have Schuster, they have Hollywood Brown. But now bring back Rashee Rice, who probably jumps to that line. Should be interesting to see what happens. I think Worthy will probably be okay, though. They like him there. Tucker Kraft, 12 points. Josh Jacobs, 32 points. A couple of Green Bay Packers taking advantage of some Cincinnati defense, or lack thereof. Hunter Henry, 5 points in the flex. Not great with New England. He's been pretty good player this season. We'll see. 26 points from the Rams defense gets a mention. Anytime you score over 20 points with the defense, we're going to mention it. Add it all up, 158 points. A good total. Not enough. Scooters Boys, Rick Erdlin, Daniel Jones continues to be a brand new shiny Danny Dimes. Unbelievable. 25 points versus Arizona. Saquon Barkley, 8.7 points. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Just a down year right now for Saquon, by Saquon standards. A-Chain continues to be really a solid player this year, 36 points. I am very curious what's going to happen in Miami, though. I have a feeling they're going to end up blowing up the roster because this is a team that can't win. So I think the coach is going to get fired, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start trading off some pieces. Ladd McConkey, another nice game, 28 points. The beneficiary of Quentin Johnston being out for certain. And Ladd played a really, really good game and was the only real Charger receiver to do so. Jacoby Myers, 7.9 points. Not a great game as trade rumors continue to swirl about Jacoby. Jake Ferguson, 12 points. He's been on a really nice run since CD was out. He's the player I'm most curious about to see what happens to his production when CD Lamb comes back, which is rapidly approaching. Cam Scatterboo, really rapidly rising to like everyone's favorite player because he's batshit crazy. But 31 points versus Philadelphia. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Really good game. My one thing with Scatterboo is the way he runs is going to end up getting hurt. So we'll see. But for now, he's a player. He's a player. Rachaad White, 17.6 points. Really good in place of Bucky Irving. We will see what happens with Bucky and when he returns, but it's not going to be this week, so you get a little more Rachaad White. I will mention the kicker here, 19 points, which is always nice when you get a big score like that. Add it all up, 183 points and a victory for Rick Erdlin and the Scooters Boys. Both of these teams, so Eddie has fallen to 2-4. Rick has improved to 2-4. Taking just a quick look at the benches, nothing much to speak about here. On Rick's side, we did have 36 points from DeAndre Swift, which is ridiculous, and Hollywood Brown with 20 points. Both guys on the bench. Didn't come back to haunt him, leaving those points on the bench. And all in all, pretty good game for both, but someone has to get the win. And then we go to the other side of the equation, where we have two teams that didn't have really good games, but still someone had to win. And of course, I'm referring to the Brooklyn Baller and Polish Powers. The two of the lowest scores on the week. And listen, sometimes there's luck involved. Brooklyn Baller falls to Polish Powers by under 2 points, 102 to 100, 102.38 minus or versus 100.82. So taking a look at the Brooklyn Baller side, I continue to say it. The Lions, not great on the road versus tough competition in prime time. Goff actually did okay, though, 19.8 points. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a down game, 13 points. Sam Laporta, not bad, 16 points. And Jameson Williams, actually 18 points. So really the Lions didn't do all that bad. I always start with the Lions here because he's Lion heavy, and he's going to be even more Lion heavy after a trade that just went down. So anyway, running backs, though, were a challenge here. Breece Hall and J.K. Dobbins, 5.9 points and 4 points respectively. A difficult, and in a matchup that's this close, every point matters. So it's just incredibly frustrating. But again, Denver Jets was like one of the worst games I've ever seen. And, Dobbins just couldn't get anything going. Another really bad luck thing here was Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua ended up with 4.8 points. He is absolutely the number one receiver in football, but he went out with injury here. And he's not likely to play this week, but he obviously left some points on the table by virtue of getting hurt during the game, and that is always unfortunate. The other flex guy for other MC was Romeo Dobbs at 10 points versus Cincinnati. It would have liked to have seen a little bit more versus a terrible Cincinnati defense, but they were able to do whatever they wanted to against Cincy for the most part, and so Dobbs wasn't as needed. Add it all up, let's see, 9 points from the kicker, 2 points from the defense versus Cincinnati hurt him. Ended up with 100.82 on the week. Certainly not enough for the victory. Polish Powers had really two guys this week. Patrick Mahomes, 34 points. Jonathan Taylor, 28 points. After that, every other single position on his team was single digits, under 10 points. James Cook, 8. Devontae Adams, 7. Mike Pittman, 4. Theo Johnson, 4. Ramondre Stevenson, 1. Sterling Shepard, 7. He even got negative points from his kicker. Like, this was ridiculous. But again, your stars are your stars for a reason. And Patrick Mahomes and Jonathan Taylor had big games, and he got, again, like a 1.5 victory over the Brooklyn Ballers. So, wow, what a game. But Errol gets the win. And you know what? Good for Errol, because Errol's had a couple of tough luck losses this year too. So it's only right that it worked the other way sometimes. Just taking a look at the benches, and this one might hurt a little bit, more so on Mike's side. Jets defense, 22 points on the bench. And Wan'Dale Robinson, 20 points. I don't fault anybody for sitting Wan'Dale Robinson when you have these other players here. Honestly. Versus Philly on a Thursday night, you don't think he's gonna, do anything big. And on Errol's side, I think it's hilarious because only Caleb Johnson, 1.5 points, and Devin Singletary with a point even registered on the scoreboard. Everyone else has a 0 next to his name. So talk about playing the exact right people that you needed to get a 1.5 point victory. What a game. You can't make this stuff up. In any event, both of these teams sit now at 3-3. Brooklyn Baller drops to 3-3. Errol improves to 3-3. Right in the thick of it. A lot more football to be played. Good luck to you both moving forward. And then finally, we have the big dog, the Polar Bears, previously undefeated, takes his first loss in a rough game versus Archop, my brother, and Matt, with a nice little victory over previously undefeated Polar Bears, 129-101. So let's take a look at the Polar Bears first. He rolled out Bryce Young, which was a nice little sneaky play. I actually did that in one of my other leagues versus Dallas, thinking, hey, if anything, it'll be a shootout, and Dallas couldn't defend me. So, and Bryce Young came in and put up 23 points, which for Bryce Young is actually pretty good. Jahmyr Gibbs, disappointing here, only 7 points. But again, versus Kansas City, who's a good defense. They just are. Derrick Henry put up 19 points, and I mean, Henry's been terrible this year, but 19 points is a pretty decent score versus the Rams, even though Baltimore continues to just be horrible. Rome Odunze and Zay Flowers, 5 points and 8 points, respectively. Just see if I can, there we go. 8 points, 5 points and 8 points, respectively. Nothing much to speak of there. Evan Engram, almost 10 points on the game, 9.9 to be exact. Deebo Samuel was questionable going into the Monday night game, and he ended up playing, but he definitely looked hampered. He had a heel issue. Definitely looked hampered on that Monday night over Chicago. Didn't have a great game, only 5 points. Hassan Haskins turned out to be the wrong running back to play for the Chargers as Vidal took over, a player that I've actually liked for a couple of years. Haskins only 3.3 points on the day versus Miami. And add it all up, it's only 101 points. And listen, when you were previously undefeated, you're allowed a bad game every once in a while. So there's obviously nothing to worry about here. Just a bad game. What can you do? On our chop side, Matt's side, Dak Prescott, 28 points. And kudos to you, Matt. You got the quarterback right this time. 28 points from Dak as opposed to Herbert, who had 21 points on the bench. Ashton Genty and Kyron Williams, 16 points apiece in a couple of nice games from the running backs. Jackson Smith and Njigba, who's becoming like one of the top receivers in the game. There's no other way to say it. The guy's just been playing lights out, great ball. They're talking about him being like in the same conversation as Nakua now, which is unbelievable. So 41 points versus Jacksonville. That's incredible. Another injury for Matt. Garrett Wilson is now injured. It was reported as a foot first, then it was a knee. I'm not really sure. But 4 points on the game, and is probably going to miss some time. Kyle Pitts, there you are, Mr. Pitts, 4 points. In a game when Atlanta beat Buffalo and had a couple of insane offensive outputs, Pitts wasn't one of them. 4 points, and was largely forgotten about during this game. And then in the flex side, you had Olave with 15 points, and then you had Quinshon Judkins with only 3 points in a down game versus Pittsburgh. Couple of items of note: negative points from the Browns defense here, and a loss for Eagles head coach. So, but when you add it all up, 129 points. But when you play a guy who only put up 101, that's all you really need. Just taking a look at the benches, the one thing I would say here, and this would have made it much closer, but Vidal sitting on the bench here at 27.8 points for the Polar Bears. Talk about guessing wrong. Although I understand why that happened, because now, if you listen to what they said, all the experts were saying that Haskins was going to get the first shot. I definitely am a little more familiar with Vidal. Eddie can tell you I spoke about Vidal last year as a player that I think could do some things in this league. An excellent pass catching back as well. Didn't expect him to have a game like this, but 27.8 points on the bench definitely would have made it a lot closer. And then Cooper Kupp, who I've been saying is done, put up 12 points. If both of those guys were in the lineup and replaced, say, Haskins and really any one of the receivers, the outcome of this would have been different. So that's always tough, but it is what it is. It's only one game. And on Matt's side, Broncos defense, 25 points as opposed to the -1 from the Browns. Other than that, nothing much to speak of. Good game. Polar Bears drops to 5-1, and he gets the Goodfellas this week. So we'll see if it can be a brother beatdown for 2 weeks in a row. And then Matt improves to 4-2, and having a nice season, but again, having to deal with some injuries as he's lost a couple of big receivers so far this season. Kind of seems to always happen. It's really weird. But good luck to you both moving forward, and onward and upward to week 7. Away we go, and see you all soon. Kamish out.